So next, we're going to be bringing on a good friend of mine. And remember, we have a substitution today, as Sajad Fazal was not able to join us due to a family emergency. Again, we very much hope that everything is okay. So instead, the wonderful Chengeer has decided to come on the show with us. I am very excited to have him on and very grateful that he decided to come join us last minute. So let's add him in. Here we go. Hey.
Hello there, Catherine. Always pleasure to see you.
It's a
You put a lot
pleasure
of
to see
pressure
you
on me.
too.
I
No
have to.
pressure.
I don't even know what is the size of the shoe that I have to fill today.
Oh my goodness. So the gentleman who was going to be on was a research expert, but
Yeah.
that's okay. We already covered research. We talked about that. We've got it covered. But we're kind of, trying to talk about solving discrimination in hiring. So we've all dealt with it and that type of thing. But I want to start with, so you have kind of an interesting backstory. We were just talking about people with fascinating backgrounds and how you need them in your company. So let's hear a little bit, if you don't mind, about your background and your history.
Absolutely. I think the background is quite unorthodox with I think my perspective, again, I will try to kind of talk from the perspective of psychology and philosophy at the same time in the world of business. This is kind of my thing. But
It is.
yeah, I was born and raised in Kazakhstan. I'm Korean. My mother tongue is Russian. So yeah, what am I? I don't know. I'm a researcher by training, right? I became a researcher because my grandmother was a chemist and she always thought that I'm going to be a scientist. So I stepped on this path. I did that. Drank the PhD Kool-Aid, spit it out. I didn't like it. Started my own company. I had a startup for 2 years in South Korea. And then finally, I came to Canada. And I lived in Canada before from 2009 to 2011. I lived in Regina first, then moved to Montreal.
Okay.
So yeah, like as you can understand, like all over the place, I'm a big supporter of things.
That's fantastic. So what do you think that helps you bring into your work that is different, that's unique from other people?
I think I'm a living example of this is kind of my main message, right? To understand what discrimination is in the first place. Right? Discrimination itself, I see it as an illusion, right? And all people people who live by the principles of like discriminating others, right? They are in a deep sleep. Like they associate it, like first level of awakening is when people see that they are their own bodies. Right. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. You're brown, you're yellow, you're black, you're white, you cut us, we all bleed red. Right. Like if you can't see past through it, like this is where the racism comes from, right? That's a very, very deep sleep. And then the second level is when people start to realize, so okay, actually when we come into this world, right, we are all blank slate. Right. So if you take a baby and you put them in the jungle with wolves, right? So the racing with wolves, right? The baby will think it's a wolf.
Yep.
So it's the same thing, right? You take me, is a baby born and raised in Kazakhstan, born in the Korean body, right? But raised in a like Russian Soviet kind of mentality, right?
Yeah.
So when people ask me like, who are you? Like, can you really define myself? Like, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. Can you define yourself? Like, does this thing? So the first thing to kind of approach discrimination is to kind of approach it from this perspective. Can you really define yourself? Are those things defining you? Right? Because I've been coaching some people, and like one of my friends who I've been coaching, he asked me this question: how do I overcome this? When I come and they don't see me as a professional, they see me as a brown person. Like, and then as you know, like discrimination has a slightly different form here in Canada, like whereas in America is a little bit more open, aggressive.
Yes.
In Canada is a little bit kind of hidden.
Subtle. Yeah.
Ninja style discrimination, I would say.
Ninja discrimination.
Ninja discrimination, that's what we call it. But I told him that we do not have control of other people's perception, right? But we always control the way we present ourselves. And the way I see it, right, is that it's our responsibility to flip the tables, like, and to kind of flip the narrative and show like what truly these kind of people are. When it's for me, it's a real pleasure, right? When a person starts talking to me, it's like, and then we talk for a while, and they're like, "Oh, your English is pretty good, right? Where are you coming from? What's my mother tongue? Can you guess?" Right? And they like look at me like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe you're like Chinese or Mongolian." Right? And
none of that's right. Yeah.
And then I speak Russian. And then, like, everything is just, like all the card house of all the preconceptions they had is just collapses in a second, right? And I think with this kind of attitude, everyone who's ever experienced discrimination, I think you need to come into the conversation. How can
Right.
you collapse their system completely? Oh,
I like that.
He's a brown person. Oh, how can you come into the conversation and just break his system of beliefs, like what a brown person can do, and like what he can speak, and what kind of words he can speak, like how he sees and positions himself in the world. What does he bring in as a professional? What kind of work ethic, integrity, right?
I like that idea. And maybe that's something that ought to be part of what Tara and I talked about earlier, which was, having the important conversations with the people in your company and coming to understand what's really going on and then making actionable, points to that and actually evolving your culture, which then rolls into hiring, right? Maybe another part of that needs to be, how do we dismantle all the problems very specifically? Like, just really talk about, let's work as a group on dismantling the nonsense and have people like yourself that are so surprising in their backgrounds,
I guess I'm just like using myself as an example, but I mean, in order to kind of have a transformation on the collective level, on the individual level, if you want to go out there and change somebody's mind about discriminating and racism, sexism, and ageism, all that stuff, you need to first get there yourself. Like,
yes,
you can't lead somebody into the forest if you don't know the path, right? In the same way here, if you do not kind of
so true.
Immerse yourself to that depths of the inside of who you are, really, like way past all those things, color of skin, like culture, nation, language, all that jazz, right? You can't bring another person there to that level of understanding.
Right. 100%. I love that, actually. And that's so true. You have to really learn the human being. I always use my saying, hire the person, not the wrapping. And that's what it is. Learn individual people. And in hiring, that's so important. And I think it's, people misunderstand what diversity means. I hear a lot of people that think, oh, we need to have 6 Black people and 4 Hispanic people and 3 Asian people. That's not diversity hiring, folks. That's not what it is. Diversity applies to so many different things, including backgrounds, to your point. So it's a matter of seeking out the different and changing our minds. We don't want all like. When I talk to so many companies and they say, oh, I need more of this kind. I want all salespeople to behave this way and all customer service people to behave this way. No, that doesn't do you any good. You want a variety to be able to work with the different types of clients, the different types of situations. You want variety in the person and the people and their backgrounds and their understandings, their talents, all these things. So when you're hiring, I think it's important to remember, don't just go for like. If you have 3 of this, you got those. That demographic's covered. Go get something else. Go try something else and try something different. What would you say to that?
I would say, again, right, and I think most of your audience, right, are candidates, like job seekers, job hunters.
Not this show. We have a lot of recruiters joining us, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for those out there looking for a job, right, I think education component is crucial, right? You need to go there. And right now, there's so much information out there that you can, like, why do we still have these stereotypes? Because we don't do our homework, we don't do our research. As you just mentioned with Michaela, right? Like, research is out there already. Like, companies that are diverse, they're doing better business. It's not just good business, right? It's not just like human business. It's a real business. It's money. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they make more money.
They're more profitable because they are diverse, right?
Yes.
So when you come into the interview, right, you need to know that you are not the person, like, it doesn't matter, because anyways, there are like 2 sides of the coin, right? From one, you don't know their hidden agenda. Maybe they are like feeling they're like diversity kind of. We need one diversity candidate, right? You don't know that, right? But on the other hand, like, again, you are in control of your own narrative. You're coming in as a person, like, okay, you guys being diverse company, right, is having good business, and like, I'm gonna come in as a problem solver with creativity, with something you don't have, right? You are bringing in solutions that they need you.
Yes.
You need them, yes, but they need you just as much. You are
100%. 100%. And I think that that's very important to remember on both sides as well. You need them, they need you, 100%. So let's talk about. So we've talked about kind of the human aspect of it, and that you need to have conversations, you need to have actionable points, you need to bring in a real diversity and inclusion expert, not just hire the one minority, just not put all that burden on the one minority employee that you have. On the technology side, so because one of the things that you run into in hiring, so applicant tracking systems, and for anybody watching that doesn't know what that is, that's like our CRM on the hiring end, right? So this is where we track all of the applicants, and basically any recruiter has them, and basically any larger organization has them, and they inherently create bias, right? And they will actually, a lot of people don't know this, about 25% of applicants don't actually get through because they don't have certain keywords or anything like that. And then once they're through, all it shows you is the resume. There's no other detail as to who the person is, anything interesting about them. It's just, here's a piece of paper that 95% of people don't even know how to write properly anyway, which is not their fault. Why would they? But so what are your thoughts about technology and how it may need to evolve to help with this type of thing and to help companies hire better?
Well, first of all, like very simple thing to do is and this surprisingly very few companies do that, right? Is to accompany more just you like with this resume application, put a couple of questions there that will be qualifiers or disqualifiers. If you had your meeting out there and if you say, okay, for this requisition, right, these are things that the candidate absolutely must have and we can't tolerate anything else, right? Put it out there, right?
Right.
I think job description also. Like, I know that there are companies like I sent you the link of the gentleman. He's running a very successful business. He is actually teaching companies, hiring managers, how to hire, how to recruit properly, how to interview properly, because people don't know how to do that. How to write job descriptions properly, right? Because job description itself, it should reflect, right, and should be very, very clear. Like, what is the job, what's in it for candidate, what's kind of the scope of responsibilities.
Right. 100%. And first of all, I just want to throw this out there. Job description should never be any longer than about a 3-minute read, ever, and probably shorter than that.
One page, 400 words. I know.
Yeah, seriously, I've seen so many job descriptions lately that I'm like scrolling and I'm like, good God, what is this, an expose? What is this? This is so ridiculous. So I love your comment too, and I'm very pro having those questions as well. And having the ability to say, hey, highlight this. This is what matters to us. How do you fit into this? And I think not just skills, but also culture-wise. Hey, here's a little, 3 sentences about our culture. How do you fit into that?
Yeah. So I think that's the trend number one that we're gonna see in talent acquisition world, right? People will understand that job branding will always be more powerful than the employer branding, right? Many people just like they just start to wake up like, okay, we need to like position our company, we need to attract like better talent into our pipelines, right? How do we do that? Right. First of all, job branding will be more powerful. Like sometimes a person will say like, okay, this company, like for the best talent, it always matters for them not only the scope of work but also the mission. Like, are they doing something that is like good for this world, or like actively aggressive against it, right?
Right.
So if they can't get this element out of the job, right, and they understand, okay, so this company, their mission probably not resonates with me very much, but the job itself is very interesting. For data scientists, I'm gonna work on this data set. For example, I'm gonna work on some complex algorithm, right? Like, with the job branding is gonna be the thing that attracts them, right?
Right. 100%. Yes, 100%.
Talking about another trend and something that I really, really love. I talked about my experience recently, right? It's that companies start to implement slowly. That's another second trend. They start to implement as the first step this video interviews, right?
Oh yes, I love that. I do.
I love that. People say like, oh, that's like it's gonna lead to more discrimination. You turn on the camera, you see the face. There's more bias, more grounds for bias. Like, screw that. Honestly, you see the person, you see the like. That's the only way to see the person, because what you see on the resume is skill set. And it's not what you need. It's a toolbox of a person. What you need to see, understand who's in front of you. Their brain, whether they're gonna learn on the job, right? And to pick up the skills fast and general cognitive ability. And the second thing is their heart. Is it the person that you're going to be pleasant to see every day on the work? He can be like whatever expert, but if his personality sucks, you're not going to tolerate him, right?
Don't hire him. He's a potato. Don't be a potato. Exactly. And you know what's funny, and I hear people say that video creates discrimination too. I actually disagree. I think it takes it away, because I think when you can, one thing I have noticed over the years, and this is just a personal observation, I want to put that out there. This is not anything I've done any actual studying on yet. People tend to, and this is my experience with a lot of clients, they'll have something in their head, but then the second that they talk to a person and they like it, all goes away. So there is something to seeing a person's real energy and real abilities and getting to know them on some kind of personal level that makes a huge difference. And Trevor Houston, who we talk about a lot in the show, he does the Who You Know Job Networking show, huge advocate for videos. And he tells you to send, video follow-ups to people, to tell them thank you, to introduce yourself with videos. You don't want to over video people, because that can be a bit much too. But it is a great way, and he's right. It's a great way to show your energy, to show who you really are and what you can really bring to the table. And a lot of people are so stressed out by their resume that they actually make really bad resumes. But when you talk to them, they can really articulate what they can do. And so I almost want to say, like, get rid of the resume and just let people show who they really are. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Ask a few like questions, but yeah, just let people show who they are. What do you think?
And I keep saying it, like, I think everybody hates me because I'm kind of an evangelist for this message, right? That a resume is a super poor predictor of success, right? You look at some people's resume, look at my resume. My resume is a mess, right? I mean, but can I get a job done? Absolutely, right? And
right.
What I'm saying is, with these video interviews, first of all, many hiring managers complain, right? We get a lot of applications from candidates who do not qualify. First problem that you're going to solve with this, because it's hard to record a video. In order to answer 5 questions, 1 minute each, with infinite amount of takes, it took me 2 hours, right?
Yep.
And I put in effort in there. There are people who would say, like, I don't want to do that, right? And they're just going to give up, right? So these people who don't have resilience to kind of grind through this, right? They already disqualify themselves for the job.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like that.
Another thing, I worked with one, I had an interview with one manager from the event company, online event company, and she's saying, like, I can see right away, like, when this she's a sales manager, she receives applications from sales professionals. She says, I can see right away, like, I get an application from this guy, and he's sitting in the car, and like the car is shaking, and he's like talking, half looking, half like babbling, everything.
Oh my God.
Like, I can understand, like, he didn't like even put enough effort into recording this video. So, like, would I hire him?
No.
Yeah, not at all.
I like that. So it's not just getting to know somebody, it does tell you something about their work ethic and about who they are and what they focus on. No, I like that.
That's the thing you cannot see on the resume.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Let's get rid of resumes. Boo resumes. Most people, how ridiculous is it that that 95% of people, and it really is, it's just over 95% of people have no level of real competency writing a piece of paper that's going to determine whether or not you get an interview. That's lunacy. That is lunacy. I understand why they were around. I get it. I get that that's where we started, but I think it's time to grow. So I'm with you. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. No more resumes. Boo resumes. Yay, videos.
Yay, videos. You ask any
Yay, videos.
Any employer, what's the most important soft skill among the candidates? They're going to tell you the one thing: communication. Communication, solving everything. Whatever job it is, it doesn't matter. Even you're not sales and marketing, right? And not in communications and PR. Communication, because it's collaboration and it's leadership and it's all the other stuff. Tell me whether you put communication on the resume.
100%. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chengeer, for joining us. You have been an absolute delight. Thank you for filling in last minute. You were so gracious. Thank you for doing that for me and for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Always a pleasure. Everyone take care and see you on LinkedIn.
Oh, and by the way, if you need a fabulous, wonderful employee, since we do have some hiring managers currently watching, this is your man. I don't care what you need done. I'm pretty sure he can do it. So he is truly incredible. So have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.
Yes.